Hi, everyone. This is Ashley Halliday Schmant, and I'm the director of the Northwest Michigan Coalition to End Homelessness. And today I'm here in partnership with the Michigan Balance of State Continuum of Care to provide another training in our housing-based case management series. So here's our training outline. Today we are going to be talking about meaningful daily activities through the lens of a housing-based case manager. So let me skip forward. Okay, so meaningful daily activities. I chose this picture for the slides based on experience of working with quite a few clients over the years who really, once they were able to get into housing and really just stabilize for a month or two, sometimes even longer, it wasn't until then that they really were able to open up to us as case managers to talk about some of the things they find meaningful in their life, and that provide them joy and happiness. And one of the things folks kept coming back to was fishing. And so I heard that one time and time again. So with a couple clients, we actually dug through some of their old boxes that had been stored at the shelter for a really long time and found their tackle box and found some donated fishing poles, and they were able to get back out there and go fishing and create something to look forward to in their day and provide some sense of normalcy outside of just surviving, right? And just kind of making it to the next day when they're on the streets. It really helped them kind of be more at home in their place and in their new way of life. So today we're going to talk about how you as a housing-based case manager can promote and encourage folks to have meaningful daily activities, because we know having, the more community connections and meaning people have in their lives, the more successful they'll be in housing. So we're going to talk primarily about meaningful daily activities through help of an exceptional tool that OrgCode provides called a Week of Meaningful Things to Do. It's a tool that housing-based case managers can use when delivering housing-based case management supports to help clients focus beyond the present moment and really get out of crisis and survival mode and focus more on living and meaning. What does that look like for the rest of their life? It also gets clients to focus not just on the appointments related to the case plan or the housing plan that you're working with them on, like structured appointments, doctors meeting with you, getting hooked up with benefits, trying to find a job. It goes beyond that. And it creates opportunities to talk about activities they can engage in outside of that stuff to reduce isolation, increase community integration, and rebuild social networks. A big thing here that we find often, especially in rural communities, I see, like usually in the city center of, like, let's say a rural region, the rents are much higher, right? You're going to see that in any urban setting, but even in rural areas, maybe there's one hub or one city that folks are in. And yes, maybe people want to be housed there, but rents are too high, or there's not enough housing availability. So we tend to house folks outside of that. And a lot of times they don't have transportation or any connections out in those other communities. And they obviously were going with client choice. They're choosing to go there. Sometimes choice is limited based on availability, which is terribly unfortunate. However, it leads to a lot of isolation when we do that. And that's just a little bit inevitable when we have really small communities. But the great thing about the really small communities is sometimes they really wrap around the folks that live there. They really wrap around their residents. They have this community integration thing that you don't see in bigger cities sometimes. And so sometimes those smaller communities are really great. We just have to encourage people to kind of get involved. Or even if they don't want to get involved with the community at large, they can at least hopefully find some meaningful things to do to spend their time. And it helps clients reflect on those activities that are the best part of their day, and those parts where things could have been better, in the past. So this is just a tool, like I said, OrgCode developed this. You can download it from their website for free. And it's just, you don't have to go this rigid with it, but you can. And it's a great case management tool. If nothing else, it can help start conversations around it. So obviously across the top, you're going to write the days of the week. It splits up the day, morning, afternoon, evening. And it's a little kind of therapeutic in that they can journal. So on the bottom, whether or not they write their appointments on this chart or put other things that they plan to do here, they can at least on the bottom reflect back on what was the best part of my day and what could have been better. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of insight here shared in this example on the what could have been better. When people kind of reflect back, right, it can be helpful at so many different levels. So for example, on Thursday morning, there were no appointments, but this person decided to go binning on the east side. So likely that's an activity, here it would be like canning, going looking for cans to return and get money back. So likely that was an activity this person was doing, going back, embedding back into the street community, right? And then meeting with the caseworker at 2, taking a nap, going to AA. And then as you can see, what could have been better about the day, but what were some good things? Some good things made good money. So that's a strength we can build on. They have some income. They like the fact that they are getting income. But then it says, what could have been better about the day? I shouldn't have hit fill. Okay, so at least they're recognizing that, right? But you can dig into that a little more. What was the environment you were in when you hit Phil? Was Phil somebody from AA? Was Phil somebody maybe who was also canning or, in the street community that you have ties to? And what can we do to avoid that next time, right? So this is just a great jumping off point. Maybe on Saturday, the best part of the day was lasagna, and it also said that they planned to have lunch at George's. Okay, so is George a good community support person? Is he somebody you want to have long term in your life? Could you invite him over to your place sometime? All those things. And then I think it's also a great thing to have next to the calendar where you can put the appointments, whether it's with you or with some other, eye doctor, whatever. But what you really want to do in creating this, and like I said, you can use it in the beginning just as a conversation starter, but you can really do it to encourage the client to come up with at least one thing each morning, afternoon, and evening. And really what you could do is just start with one thing per day. We've had many clients that have become housed and feel really so isolated and lost. Finding one meaningful thing per day would be difficult in the beginning, right? So you want to start small and build from that. And some people you won't even have to do this with. Some people, maybe they have small children and they're involved in, let's say, all of their activities, and then maybe they have a job, and you want to just start small and not maybe do the whole tool, but just say, hey, what do you do for yourself? How do you find meaning for just you? Okay, so that's a little bit different approach. Again, if we're making housing-based case management really individualized to the person, you don't have to do this to the full extent, right? Different people are going to need various levels of this. Sometimes it's just a conversation. Sometimes this is going to be the full breadth of really what you do and what you work on with someone in housing. So if you do choose to do this, if you and the client really want to sit down and dig into this a little more, you're going to use open-ended questions related to suggestions for the client to consider. Okay, so you want to think about things that provide fulfillment physically, intellectually, spiritually, socially, emotionally, or recreationally. This example through org code provides, what is a physical exercise or sport you'd like to do this week, and when do you want to do it? Okay, so just sub that thing out, that physical exercise or sport, with anything else they've ever mentioned. So that sentence is great in that it's helping identify the activity and then when. So it's making it actionable. It's saying, okay, what's a sport you'd like to do? And when do you think you want to do it? Hey, you don't have anything going on Wednesday? Let's throw it on Wednesday. Let's start there. And then you're going to follow up with them either weekly or however often you're meeting with them. You're going to follow up and help them explore what they liked, what they didn't like, did they find it useful, etc. If you know specific events happening in the community, you can offer suggestions, at morning coffee, if they're older, you can get them connected with the senior center or community centers, those types of things. Really anything, building connections in the community outside of traditional service providers. That's going to help long term. We want to really expand their network beyond you and other paid individuals. So again, like I said, you're going to debrief the tool with the client, preferably on the afternoon of the 7th day. Again, it doesn't have to be that rigid. You can debrief on it every 2 weeks. I think the immediacy of it is really just how engaged the client is around it. But if we refer back to it here, if they, you give it to them, you identify some things, and then maybe the journaling part, they leave blank, say, okay, maybe let me help you kind of complete this. Like, just talk to me. You don't have to write it down. Talk to me about what was the best thing about the week, even. If you want to start really small, identifying one thing a week they could do. It really depends on their engagement level. Again, support services that are very individualized for the client. So again, this is an org code document. These are the tips for, I can go that far. These are the tips for kind of creating the conversation around it. And then you can find the example and the blank form on org code's website. So thanks so much, guys.